This is TWiT.
In case you haven't heard this story, TechCrunch reporter Josh Constein posted it this week about the Facebook Research app. This is the app that pays people $20 a month and to let Facebook see everything that you're doing on your phone. That means the apps that you install, how often you use these apps, when you use them, how you interact with others, and so much more. The app clearly explained that it was doing this, but the problem is that they were aiming the app, they were sort of targeting at the ages of 13 to 35. 13, like 13 years old, like a teenager, a very young teenager. Those ages 13 to 17 had to get their parents' consent, but like most apps that ask for parent consent, it's really just the honor system. I think you just had to like tap something, which I'm sure my teenagers do every day, saying, yes, yes, my mom said that was okay. So my question, I just feel like this is crazy. Like there's so many, there's just, Facebook is a series of things that just bad choices. And then their earnings also came out and they were great. So like maybe people don't even care.
No, because yeah, we talked about stuff similar to this on This Week in Google yesterday. I was filling in for Leo, and you know, the big challenge for anyone that wants to peel themselves away from Facebook because they don't agree with any of this stuff is that they end up sacrificing those relationships potentially. And that's such a big, severe kind of downside to that people will then kind of like suffer through whatever is going on at Facebook in order to get there. 13 is the age that that someone can actually open an actual Facebook account, right?
Right. Or, yeah, that's the age where, like, you know, all bets are off. You can get an Instagram account. You can get
those accounts.
I mean, even though kids do it way before and, you know, they ask, you know, they get their parents' permission. Yes, 13 is the age where you're on your own. Like, you know, our work is done as parents.
So then, so do you have a hard time with the kids starting a Facebook account at 13? Because arguably they're being tracked in a lot of ways too, just by having a Facebook account at 13.
Well, first of all, no 13-year-olds that I've ever known. Well,
they might not care about.
They
Facebook,
don't want
actually.
Facebook, but they have Instagram, which is exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So yes, it's true, but Instagram isn't tracking the exact same things. They're not Instagram doesn't know what other apps my kids have on their phones, and it doesn't know, you know, who they're texting or who they're emailing. It doesn't know all that stuff. So there's two issues here. There's the issue of, I mean, some people are arguing that like this app is bad for everyone. Like no one should have, you know, Facebook should never have done that. And part of that is that they're kind of going against. That you had to sideload the app. Like they were going against Apple's terms of services.
And that's part of what booted their apps out of the iOS App Store to begin with, right?
So and that's another big part of this story, right? Like that's kind of arbitrary that that they were like, oh yeah, you're out here, Facebook. And, you know, conveniently Apple and Facebook are sort of stuck in this war where Apple can say like, we're private, everything's private, everything on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. And, you know, they can do that because they're selling iPhones. They're not selling people's data. Right.
With a 13-year-old, a $20 a month gift certificate is a really hard thing to say no to, I have to imagine. Maybe $20 doesn't go as far as it used to for 13-year-olds, but that's a really big incentive to, you know, to get that $20 gift certificate in exchange for handing over all of this information and data about how they use their device and what other apps are installed and all of this extra insight. At the same time, we live in an age of if it's free, then you are the product. And usually all we get is a service. So here they're getting money also. They're paying us for that data. So on one hand, that satisfies what some people have criticized about this kind of business model is that, well, at least you're getting something of value from that data. Hopefully they're explaining just how much and how deep this goes, or they should have been. And I don't know. I feel a little weird about this being 13 to 18 because I think the $20 a month incentive is just too strong for someone that age to really really take a level-headed approach and say, oh, but my data is worth more than that. I'm not going to open myself up. I don't think a 13-year-old's probably going to care as much about that aspect. And the $20 a month is going to be a really big incentive to overcome. Google apparently did something similar to this and has an app also on the iOS App Store called Screenwise Meter. It's been around for years apparently, and very similar, although they limit it to users 18 and up, although it's 13 and up if that member is part of a family group that's also participating. And I don't know if there's a monetary incentive there or what the incentive is, but Google apparently, according to this article in TechCrunch, a lot more upfront about what it's collecting, the data that it's collecting, but it's doing a lot of the similar things from the Facebook app. It's, you know, relies on this like side load special code registration process, and so I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up disappearing as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's interesting on so many levels, like whether, you know, sort of the age of consent when it comes to the internet.
Right. What is the age of
Right.
consent on
Like,
the internet?
you know, should a 13-year-old be able to say, yes, I'll give away all my privacy? And it's funny because, like, we're already doing that. Like, as parents, like, we're putting, not you because you're not on Facebook anymore, but,
Goodbye.
You know, I put pictures of my kids on the internet all the time. Like, I ask them first, but is it, I mean, they say yes, but
That's
is
more
that
than most
like,
parents do.
Right? Like, do they really think about what it might be like, you know, in, you know, 10 years to have that picture on there? Like, it's sort of up to me to really be that, you know, keeper of their privacy.
Right,
So,
the arbiter of all that.
I don't know. And then there's just the bigger question of, like, Apple was able to boot, they didn't boot the Facebook app, but they booted this, it was sort of an app for Facebook employees to, they were using this app so Facebook employees could test other apps. So they booted this app, which then made all of anyone who was beta testing an app at Facebook suddenly couldn't do it. Like, there were things like they couldn't take the Facebook shuttle because it relied on an app that was using this. So, like, Apple has so much power.
No kidding.
I mean,
that shuts down Facebook's internal, like, operations to a certain degree.
And should they be able to do that? Like, I mean, that's what, you know, Apple has a walled garden. That's their thing. Like, but, you know, there's no other place to get apps. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to talk about the power. Your story is the power of Google.
Yeah, you're talking about the influence and power of Apple. Mine's about the influence and power of Google for sure. I should point out that in the chat room, folks are posting. Google came back and replied and basically said Screenwise Meter iOS app should not have operated under Apple's Developer Enterprise program, which is kind of what the Facebook app also kind of fell into, coming against those terms of service, that sort of stuff. Google says they've apologized. Apparently, they've deactivated or disabled the app on iOS devices. So their reaction was swift on this because they don't want to be part of that negativity as well. It's kind of a big mark for Facebook.
So if you are listening to this, lots of people are weighing in on the chat room, but if you're listening to this and not live, email me at megan@twit.tv. I'll keep this. I'm better at email than Jason is, so I will keep them. You can also TNW at twit.tv if you want. I get those too. So you email me and maybe we'll have a little further discussion based on your feedback.